Welcome. I'm Jennifer Cambris, Festival and Events Producer for Montclair Film. I want to thank you for joining us for our first ever virtual StorySLAM. This has been a monthly event we usually host throughout the year at 505 Bloomfield Avenue. But for now, we're thrilled to bring this directly to your homes, where we hope that you and your families are staying safe and healthy. When our yearly spring festival was postponed, we had to reimagine how we can get some of our programming to the community, and especially to our loyal supporters. We wanted to bring something to those who have helped us flourish over these past 9 years. Our staff has been working towards finding new ways to stay true to our mission and be a place of comfort to those who have always been there for us. One of those new ventures includes our Discover Together program, a virtual film club which goes live each day at 12 p.m. noon on our Facebook page. Tom Hall, our executive director and programmer extraordinaire, works with his team to pick different films each day to introduce and host open discussions with our Montclair Film members. It's been a great way of staying connected to our current members and getting to know those who are joining the Montclair Film family for the first time. If you're interested in becoming a member, please go to our website for more information. While you're on our website, please check out our exciting new online education courses, including our upcoming Director's Masterclass with award-winning director, executive producer, and director of photography, Michael Slovis. So, when we were trying to think about how to kick off this first virtual StorySLAM, we immediately thought about all the local businesses who have supported us year after year. These businesses are working tirelessly to find new ways to be there for us as a community. So tonight, we wanted to give them a chance to tell us their stories. If you're looking for ways to show them support during this time, we encourage you to visit us at montclairfilm.org/support/advertisers for a full list of those establishments. The importance of storytelling is vital now more than ever. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our MC for the night and Montclair Film storytelling teacher, Duncan Miller. Duncan is a teacher, improviser, and comedian who has performed and trained at the Second City and Improv Olympic in Chicago. He has performed at various theaters and festivals in New York City, Chicago, and Baltimore prior to earning his master's degree in education. Currently, he teaches AP US Government and Politics at North Star Academy in Newark. Duncan?
Thank you so much for that intro, Jennifer. And thanks to all of you for joining us here this evening for our first digital StorySLAM. Storytelling is at the core of everything Montclair Film does. And in trying times like this, we need community to share and relate with. I believe that sharing our stories helps us see how we got to where we are. We build a whole oral history with each other, and we begin to chart a course for where we hope to go and who we hope to be. Tonight's theme is with a little help from my friends. Now, running a business isn't easy, but our friends and community can help us get through even the trickiest of situations. Tonight, we're going to celebrate the joys, struggles, and comedy of owning a business. And in the spirit of community, we've decided that this first virtual StorySLAM is not going to have any judges. These business owners have taken time out of their newly reshaped schedules to tell us some tales from their professional endeavors, and we're going to be showing them lots of love in the comment section below. Don't be afraid to use those thumbs up and heart emojis too. And on your end, please feel to spread the love by sharing this event with your friends and family, both near and far. So let's jump right in. We've got some really great stories to share. Our first storyteller tonight is going to be Chelsea Smith from Just Kidding Around. Welcome, Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Smith. I'm one of the co-owners of Just Kidding Around, right on Bloomfield Avenue, right next to Montclair Film. Yay, fun neighbors. So our story actually starts way back in 2007. I know, quite a long time ago. I was an undergraduate at Montclair State University, and I needed a part-time job. So I searched Craigslist, and I found an ad for a toy store right in Montclair Center. Perfect. So I applied, I got the job, and I started. And what's better than working at a toy store? It's amazing. But my coworkers weren't that great, especially one, Nissa. We just did not get along at all. Oil and water, just like that. But when you're stuck with someone for 10 hours a day, 2 to 3 times a week, eventually you gotta start talking to one another. And then you're gonna make each other laugh. And then you're kind of stuck being friends with each other. And then you're best friends. And then your family. It's a really magical space, and it has been for over 10 years for me. And in 2018, myself and Nissa were given the opportunity by the previous owner to take over the store and make it our own and become the owners. And we couldn't pass it up. The space itself is our home and is also the home to so many of our friends, our extended family. It's part of us. So on September 1st, 2018, we became the owners of the toy store. And now we get to continue this dream that we had of having an inclusive space for families, for children, and also for us and all of our coworkers and our families as well. So that's our story, and I just hope that we can keep doing it for as long as we can. I love everyone I work with. As I said, they're my family, and I can't imagine not having them around. So thank you.
Chelsea, thanks so much. That was such a great start. Yes, round of applause. Thank you. Your peers and other business owners are so excited to hear your origin story there. And I have to say, having been in your shop a couple times for some gifts for some little people in my life, I've always gotten a lot of accolades for how well I wrap gifts. And I actually am very bad at wrapping gifts. So the secret's safe with me. Thank you so much for going first. And thank you so much for running just an excellent business right next to Montclair Film. Awesome start for the evening. All right, we are going to move to Jennifer Snyder. She's our next storyteller, and she is with the Little Daisy Bake Shop. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Jennifer Snyder. I'm the owner of the Little Daisy Bake Shop. We're a nut-free bakery in Upper Montclair, and we've been open since 2011. My tale is one of being prepared and a little bit of crisis management. A few years after we opened, we were asked to be a part of MKA Grandparents' Day, and we were doing the sweets table for this event, and it was our understanding that the grandparents wanted the sweets and maybe would have some tea, but definitely would not drink a lot of coffee. What we didn't know was that the favor that they were giving the grandparents when they walked in the event was a really large travel coffee mug. And so within minutes, we had a line of about 100 grandparents, and the first 5 or 6 grandparents went through the line, filled their coffee mug up to the brim, and we were out of coffee. And so they did a few announcements on the loudspeaker in the auditorium, and I don't know if you've seen the movie Airplane, but it's like when the flight attendant Elaine comes on and says, you know, we veered thousands of miles off course, and the reason why the plane is getting bumped around is asteroids are bumping into the side of the plane, and everyone remains calm. And then she says, and we're running low on coffee, and all heck breaks loose. I'm sure that it didn't really happen that way, but that's the way I remember it, is everybody going crazy. So I quickly, I got a tray of scones and muffins, and I was going down the line. Would you like a tray? Would you like a scone? Would you like a muffin? No, I just want coffee, just coffee. We had a problem. So I went running out of the school. I drove so fast to Starbucks on Church Street. I asked them how long it would take to do a to-go coffee box. It's 25 minutes. No, it's way too long. I call the bakery. I have them brew coffee. I have my mother-in-law who's visiting from Seattle. I have her go to the Starbucks on Valley Road. And I remember just racing across town, not even slowing the car down while they put the coffee into the car. I'm racing back. And when I get there, my coworker, Selena, had gone into the PTA room there and had brewed some coffee. And then we had so now we've got all this coffee. And at that point, that part of the event was over. They go to the classrooms, the grandparents all go to their classrooms to meet the teachers, and we're waiting. There's nobody in there. We're waiting, and we're just looking at the table. We have all this coffee, and we hear them start coming back, and we think we're ready for them now. We have all the coffee. We come back. Nobody wants a cup of coffee. Nothing. Now all they want are the sweets, and they're grabbing the sweets as fast as they can. They're shoving them in their purse and their jacket pockets before they leave, and then they go to the valet, which was a disaster, but that's their story to tell. But the lessons that we learned was that if you are doing an event and you think you have enough, you don't, so do some more. And if anyone tries to tell you that older people don't drink coffee, you can look them in the eye and say that is false.
Oh, that is awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. You know, we've talked a lot about essential personnel as of late, and I know how essential that coffee is in my life and probably all of yours. So this story gave me complete anxiety that there wouldn't be enough coffee, and I'm so glad there's leftovers, so I'm coming to you. So great. Thank you so much for sharing, Jennifer. We're going to keep it going. We have Zina Floyd with Cafe Moso, who's up next. Zina, welcome.
Hi, Duncan. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Great story so far. Good lessons learned. So, you know, I'll start my story with our first day of opening. We opened Cafe Moso actually, this month, a year ago. And my husband, Mike, and I, we're both entrepreneurs by trade, you know. And I have to be honest, it wasn't in our bucket list to own a restaurant. I mean, if you ask anyone, and Montclair being the hub of one of the most fabulous restaurants, I mean, we are the hub of restaurants. Why add another one? You know, our objective here was a little different. We had no plans of saying, oh, we want to open up a restaurant. It's so much fun. The goal was where Cafe Moso is located is in the historical south end of Montclair. And I remember Mike and I driving on our first day because we have other businesses. And I said, what were we thinking? I mean, this is like a full-time job. I had no clue how to run a restaurant. Mike had no clue how to run a restaurant, but we had a vision and a goal and a purpose. And that purpose was to bring the community to the rest of Montclair. I can't tell you, between Glen Ridge and the southern side or southern border of Bloomfield Avenue, there's no place to eat. And some people don't even realize that this historical south end of Montclair is even a part of Montclair. And it is such a beautiful community. And our goal with opening this was to bring together the community and let people see how beautiful it is as a village and how it's so diverse. And we wanted people to experience what we experienced living on the south side of the historical side of Montclair. Ironically enough, on that first day, it was fantastic. We got a huge amount of support. And ironically, again, we were only opening as a coffee shop with a few muffins and espresso, and it turned into a brunch, lunch, and dinner business, full blown. We have a fabulous menu. I can take zero credit for it. We hired the right people. I mean, the food is great. But when you talk about our purpose, you know, it was to be a family restaurant. You can come there for lunch. You can come alone. You can come with your family. You're younger, you're older. Everybody was welcome. And we wanted people to experience that as they visited Cafe Moso. And ironically enough, recently with the COVID experience, we had a gentleman that came in. When we were closed, we're still open for takeout. And this is when it hit me that we actually succeeded in our goal, which was to be there for the community when they needed us. He came in and he sat down, and even though we were closed for the public, he said, do you mind if I sit and just order something? I'll stay over in the corner of the restaurant. I'm like, sure, because he was a regular that came in. And he said, you know, my father died today. And I have to tell you, I was a little taken back. I don't believe that he died of COVID, but he was an elderly man and he couldn't see him. on his last day. And it was such a blessing that he chose hours after finding out that his father had passed to come and sit with us. That told me something really amazing, that our food is good, yes, but Montclair has food, great food all over the place, you know. But the goal, because Mike and I are earth children, I mean, we're very laid back, we're very light and easygoing, and we wanted people to feel welcomed in at home with us. And having him come in hours after finding out that his father had passed, to come and join us and want to be connected with us, spoke volumes. And I hope as we move forward and we talk to our customers and, you know, we become a part of the community, that we continue to do those things. And so we really appreciate the opportunity to do that. And by the way, I know the restaurant really well now. So that's our story in a nutshell.
Zina, thank you so much. Making it relevant, but also just right on theme. And thank you for sharing that uplifting moment in all this darkness. And congrats on your 1 year anniversary. You're hitting 1 year, and that's such an exciting milestone for you. So congratulations. All right, nicely done. Let's move on to Wendy. We have Wendy Lacey of Cornerstone, Montclair, who will be up next. Wendy, welcome.
Hi, I'm Wendy Lacey from Cornerstone, Montclair. Small business is very personal, and my business is very, very personal. When my husband and I found out we were having a baby with Down syndrome, we had a lot of deep conversations. One of those conversations was about how Down syndrome was not going to define our life. You know what? It hasn't defined our lives, but it has taken us down paths that we never envisioned, almost all of them very positive. Since my daughter Evelyn was a teeny baby, we took that kid everywhere. Restaurants, museums, little gym, rec soccer, everywhere. And we did that because we wanted her to belong here. We wanted her to grow up here and take her to any restaurant and have people look at her, not because she looks different, that she wears her disability on her face, but because they know her. Maybe they wave, maybe they shrug, oh, there's Evelyn. We wanted her to belong here. Evelyn's gone through the public school system here. She is in general ed classrooms, learning with her peers. It's been great. But we've always asked the snagging question, what's next? What is she gonna do for work? How is she gonna have fun here? How is she gonna belong here? If you asked me 20 years ago, what is the last thing I wanted to do professionally? I would have undoubtedly said, I do not want to be an entrepreneur. And aside from that, I don't want to own a retail store. Not in my wheelhouse at all. But nonetheless, a few years ago, my family started Cornerstone Montclair. It is a building and a business that has a vision of changing perspectives about people with disabilities and creating opportunities for people with disabilities. Opportunities to feel like they belong in this community. The bulk of my time takes place in the general store. It's like a lot of other stores, although very charming retro vibe with it. But if you look at my store, it is a little bit different. You'll see lots of young people working here, some with disabilities, some without, working together, building relationships, learning how to work with customers. I carry a lot of art made by local artists, some made by artists with disabilities. If you look at my products, you'll see products made by people with disabilities throughout the country, sometimes throughout the world. My vision comes to life in this building. And my favorite stories are some of the most simplest ones. Like when I first opened, and I was having a conversation with a friend in the store about our experience in special education in the school district. And some woman came up a little shyly and said she was house hunting in Montclair from Brooklyn. And she had just had a son who was recently diagnosed as being autistic. And as she looked at houses and the next phase in her life, she had no idea what to think about. And she asked if someone would talk to her. And my friend took her out to the charming bench outside of my charming store and talked to her for an hour. And I don't know where that woman moved, but I'll tell you at that moment, she felt like she belonged. And another story is that I have an artist from Montclair High School, a student, who makes beautiful note cards. And for the longest time, I had them on my checkout stand with a little blurb that she wrote about herself. She also happened to have Down syndrome. She talked in her blurb about school and why she loved art. And two teenagers came in one day and bought whatever they were buying and said, hey, We know that girl. She's in our class. That is so cool that you sell her stuff here. And so I think when they see that artist around Montclair High School, they don't necessarily see the disability on her face. They also think, oh yeah, that's the girl who sells those cards in that charming little store. Changing perspectives. And one of my favorite stories is the day I had 2 young women working for me, and one woman just could not get off of this task. And she said, Wendy, I am so sorry, but I have OCD. I can't move on from this right now. And I said, well, that's okay. Thanks for sharing. I actually had no idea. And she said, oh yes, I have OCD, I have ADD. And then she had a litany of other letters behind that. And the other young woman came shrieking across the store saying, I have those things too. That's so cool. And then they talked the rest of the shift and did no work. And then they went to Dunkin' Donuts together. And you know what? And a friendship was born. So social distancing has sucked for my business and for my vision, except for one thing. One of my most dedicated employees is a lovely young woman who happens to have cerebral palsy. And she calls me all the time and texts me. And she said last week, you know, I miss work, I miss the store, but more than anything, I miss my work friends. I miss my work friends. I think she feels like she belongs. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Wendy. Yeah, what a community you're building and just focusing on accessibility. Thank you for going out of your way and making sure there's a safe space for that, and just really branching out and being intentional about it, even in the smallest of ways. And it goes to what Chelsea said before, and thinking about some of your work friends, whether you like it or not, become your best friends. And there's so many friends that I've picked up along the way at various jobs who I'm still just so close with, and so grateful for bosses who make that open space for you to become friends with them. So thank you for that. Beautiful, thank you. We're gonna keep moving here. We're gonna move to Ilson Goncalves. He is the owner of Samba Montclair.
Thank you so much to have me tonight. My name is Ilson. I own Samba Montclair almost 10 years. It will be December 7, 10 years. It's amazing. My story go all the way back when I was 11 years old. I remember I was walking to my city. I was hungry and I didn't have money. I was a kid. I stopped to this lady and asked, can you buy me a sandwich? And I asked her, and she said, oh, yes, I will buy for you. And I said, as soon as I see you, I make sure that you pay back. But of course, I will never pay her back. And she told me, like, you don't need to pay me back. Just pay me. Just promise. When you grow up and somebody asks you for food, make sure you never deny. So this is one of the first lessons. And the second lesson was this past month in March, I was in Cambodia. A kid walking by me, and the Russian asked me, hey, mister, can you buy a sandwich for me? I said, yeah, sure, come join me as a dinner tonight. So remember, he's opening his pizza and his hamburger, because he was so confused which one he wants to eat. I said, you know what, let's go buy both. And he asked me, so should I buy both? Yeah, sure, don't worry. I remember he was opening the pizza and the hamburger. I was starting crying, and he dried my tears. So being a chef and on Samba Montclair, for me, helping the community for 10 years, it's the most amazing thing, because I take back that lesson I learned when I was 11 years old, probably like 27 years ago, and bring back to this community and cooking every day. Love, because I don't sell food, I sell love. I love what I do. And when somebody, I swear I forgot, when somebody walks to Samba asking me for money, I never give, because I don't believe in giving money to people. But if anybody walks to Samba and asks me for food, I tell the person, open the menu and feel free to order anything you want. And this is like, it's that lesson I learned for that old lady. I wish I can see her back and meet her back, because it's an amazing experience. And being in this community like Montclair, it's amazing, because you meet so many different people every day. And sometimes I see people having problem with the client card and say, you know why, this is like I'm giving back to the community, like I'm giving back to you, because I love to help people, because I know sometimes people struggle. And sometimes I know it's not easy working like in other store, a rental store. And sometimes they don't make them much money and give us as a compliment. And to remember Samba, they making these people happy, as being in the community. So for me, I love what I do. And so even right now, if the COVID, I learned for the lesson for the little boy, I decide after back to America, with the COVID-19, I decided to donate every Wednesday 50 dinners to the Tony's Kitchen to help the community, because I know this is the lesson I learned for the lady so many years ago, and it's a great experience I have. So that's my story. I hope you guys enjoy it. Sometimes I feel like to cry. I'm very cry. I like to cry sometimes, but I try to hold to don't cry. So because it's amazing stories, everyone.
Well, you can cry, and thank you, Ilson. That was beautiful and got me really choked up. And the idea that you sell love. I've worked in restaurants, and I know your food is fantastic, but now knowing the story behind your philosophy, it just changes my whole opinion of coming into your establishment. So thank you for sharing that. What a beautiful story and way to live life. Thank you for being a pillar in Montclair, and to everybody who shared their stories. Thank you. Deep breath. We're going to keep moving and move to Rachael. Rachael Grochowski owns RHG Architecture and Design. We'll get Rachel's story up next. Hi, Rachael. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rachael Grochowski of RHG Architecture Design, and also the designer of Montclair Films' home at 505. And my story is really about the beginning of my business in Montclair as a formal position taker. And so I had been working from home for about 6 years. And, while I had 3 children, and the idea was just to keep my foot in the door. But it started turning into a business, and I got to a point where I decided that I either needed to put more effort into it, really commit to it, or I just need to let it go. So with one small project, I was working on a single bathroom. I decided to look for an office space. And I came across Academy Square, which I guess it had been around for a couple years at that point. And I was really excited by it because it was a LEED certified building, and I've always, from like the beginning, been interested in environmentally sensitive architecture and design. So I called the building owner, Bob Silver, Bravitas, and he told me that he didn't have any space. And but that he had this new building that he was working on across from Hillside School, and that if I wanted to come take a look at that, he thought I would really love it. And I said, listen, like that's like a year and a half out. Like I need something now. Thank you very much. And by the way, I think it also is out of my budget. And he basically insisted that I come and see the space. So I agreed, and I thought, you know what, like I get to see a beautiful building, it'll be interesting. And then it occurred to me that this was actually a door. And I put together my marketing package, printed off a bunch of images of projects I'd done over the years and a list of projects around the world, and then went to do the tour of the building. And again, this was, nothing was really, he hadn't even closed on the building yet. So there were some drawings, and, it was still operating as a church at the time. We got all the way through the building, and it was, very inspiring. And I said, listen, like, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, but I still think it's too long out for me. And then I reached in my bag and pulled out my marketing package, and I said, I think you do really fabulous buildings, but I think I can help you make them better. And I handed the package to him, and he said, thank you. He was a little taken back and said, thank you. I really have a great team. And I said, I said, I'm sure that you do. I shook his hand, and I left. About 2 weeks later, he called me and he said, I thank you for your marketing package. I really still, don't need anyone else on my team, but I did give your name to the church. And that was the church who was selling him the building, and they were going to have a new church in that building. And so I met with the church and went to their, to their board meeting to be interviewed, and then attended a service to really understand who they were. And they actually wanted this modern design church, which was perfect for me. And they ended up hiring me. And I couldn't have been happier. I was like, that was all worth it at that point. And a couple weeks later, I got another call from Bob Silver. And he was a little maybe envious that the church had hired me. And he sort of said, so what did you do? What made them hire you? And I just said, I listened, and by the end of that conversation, he had asked me for proposals for the Hillside, what has become Hillside Square. And again, I gave him the proposals, and he again said, thank you, but no thank you. And again, I thought, well, that's fine. I still have this church project. It would be great. And then another few weeks later, he called and he actually said, yes, I'd like you to I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to bring you on board for this building. And it was a great project. And I've done 7 buildings, including his home, with him since then. And it just reminds me that for small businesses in a town, the size of ours, that, sometimes we need a little help from our friends, and that sometimes our friends become a lot like family. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Rachel. That was beautiful. Yeah, I love what you said about I saw it as a door. And to me, I'm trying to keep that mindset in this time and try to see where are these doors. And maybe it's a window and it's only cracked, but I got to find a way to get it open. You certainly have epitomized that mentality. That's a beautiful thing. And look at the success on the other side of your persistence. It's beautiful. Thank you. All right, next up is Kathy, and Kathy owns DanceWorks Studios. Let's welcome Kathy Costa McKeown. Kathy, welcome.
I'm Kathy Costa McKeown, the owner of DanceWorks Studios here in Montclair. I have been in my home at 127 Grove Street for 22 years. I am currently celebrating my 22nd season of dance. 22 years ago, I was teaching dance for 6 years at the Montclair Cooperative School. And one winter cold day, I happened to just be walking down Grove Street, and I came upon this space, and there were contractors working in the space, and I just let myself in and said, hey, what is this going to be? And at that time, they did not know. So one of them had a roll of blue tape. I asked if I could have their blue tape. They thought I don't know what they thought. So I took their blue tape and I just started taping the floors, and I left. And then I came back again and I said, who owns this space? And the story began. 22 years later, there is so much sweat, love, passion, everything goes on in this space. I have so many stories to tell, but I chose to tell a story of what is going on in our present time, right here and right now. So for 22 years, you can only imagine, it's not hundreds, it's thousands of children that have made it across this space with me and spent their entire childhood with me. So many of our students start with me at age 3 and do not leave me until they're 18. And then they still don't leave me because many of them go off to college and choose different careers, and many choose dance. And then they come back and they teach for me, and they manage for me, and they produce for me. And we are an incredibly large family. So when COVID struck, on Friday, March 13th, it was our last physical day in our space teaching classes. And when I walked out the door at 7 p.m., one of my faculty members decided to do a drive-by into the back parking lot. And she saw me, and we actually did hug and embrace. And we said, we'll see each other in a few days. That's what we thought. Anyway, I went home, and that evening I was like, I don't know. I really don't know. And maybe it'll only be 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks. We can do anything for 2 weeks, anything at all. But in the meantime, I reached out to my studio manager and my production manager, and I said, let's have a meeting. And the 3 of us sat in my home office for 8 hours on that Saturday. And we said, we are going virtual on Monday. Nothing will stop DanceWorks. DanceWorks will take on COVID like none other. So we developed a plan, and on Monday, we did shifts of faculty coming in and out of our physical home, and recorded 2 weeks worth of classes. So it was like a 12-hour production day. It was very intense. And let me not make light of this at all, because when we first walked through the door, Nell Conway, who serves as my production and marketing manager, we walked in together, and we both like fell to the floor and hysterically cried. It was the first time ever in 22 years that I was going to walk into my home that is surrounded with children, anywhere from the ages of 3 to 18, and their incredible parents, who the support for the arts in this community, I don't know if there's a community like this anywhere else in the world. And to think that we had to teach with no children in our space was devastating. It was absolutely devastating. There was no sounds of children's laughter. There was no background chatter. There was nothing. There was us, and there was this beautiful space, but that energy and that excitement was not with us. So then we decided after 2 weeks, we needed to see our children. We needed to feel their energy. We needed to have their passion. We needed to have it all. So we went live, and we went live via Zoom, and we went full force live. We have over 20 classes a week going live through Zoom. It's physically exhausting, but emotionally, it's way more draining, because I just want to reach out and touch my children. I want to hug them. I want my 3-year-old's boogers on my lap. I want all of it. I want it all. And we are getting so much, and it's so wonderful. So we are live right now, and it's phenomenal. And we are actually setting choreography live. And we are in the middle of producing a huge virtual dance concert that will go live on Saturday, June 20th. And talk about getting by with a little help from our friends. So when we started this, I said, we are going to dance through this storm. That is my title of this story. We are dancing through the storm. It's in every email exchange with my parents. And this community, everybody on my team is from Montclair. Everyone. How blessed am I? How blessed is that to not only have a business in Montclair, but to have everybody on your team born and raised in Montclair. So Nell Conway, who went through the whole Montclair public school system, who danced here her entire childhood, is my production manager, my marketing manager. Kayla McKeown, who's at MSU right now, who happens to also be my stepdaughter, is my studio manager. My son, Mike Clark, who's lived around the world, is my technical and creative person behind the scenes, who has done Montclair school education. And last but not least, Carly Storm, branding company, is stepping in, and they are helping us with videography as well. So we're super excited about June 20th. COVID's got nothing on DanceWorks. We're going strong. We're moving through. We're dancing through this storm. And it's so great to see so many of my fellow small businesses on the screen who, if I'm not buying cake, every Friday night we're at Samba. Every Friday, once a month, I'm at Wendy's place, the Cornerstone. So it's like really awesome to just see all of this happening and all of this support. That's my story. Thanks. Mwah.
Thank you. That was beautiful. And I just can't say enough how great it is, especially the age range that you teach. Being a teacher myself too, you don't realize what you're showing and teaching in the actions that you take. And right now you're teaching them that they can do anything virtually, that things can be done despite overwhelming odds. And I think that's really the takeaway, whether they dance career comes next or they just look back and say, wow, this changed the way I view the world and what I can do. So thank you for that. That's beautiful. We're going to keep moving. Some awesome stories in this community we're building here. We are going to move to Roderick Logan. He is with Coldwell Banker Realty. All right, Roderick, welcome.
Thanks, Duncan, so much. I'm Roderick Logan. I'm the Branch Vice President, Managing Broker of Coldwell Banker here on 242 Bellevue Avenue, only a couple of doors down from the Bellevue Theater. So in the heart of our little uptown art district over here. And as I think about what we're all going through right now, and the little help from our friends, obviously Coldwell Banker, we're in the business of helping people in their homes, and Coldwell Banker has been guiding people home since 1906. And the opportunities that we've all experienced right now is working in a different way and really connecting with people in their homes, not only getting them into homes, but really reaching out and connecting to them a different way, And we're really learning and seeing the value of relationships with our clients. As I talk to my agents are always very focused on connecting with their past clients and staying connected with them. They learn through the years as they get into relationships and grow their families and move in and out of homes. And we've really put a special attention around in the last few weeks around making a concerted effort to reach out to our clients, to reach out to past clients. And we're learning some interesting things as we do. We're learning, we're going right into their homes on these Zoom calls with my agents. We get together about 3 times a week doing these Zoom calls. So Zoom is like now second nature to all of us. So we're learning more technology. And it's interesting because we're able to have office meetings in a different way. We're actually now sitting in each other's living rooms, sometimes sitting in each other's bedrooms. I have to say, I didn't know there's so many cat lovers out there. So we get into some kind of challenges sometimes of how many cats are strolling through in the back. I'm team dog, but there's a lot of cat lovers out there. So we have some little challenges with that. But my agents are also sharing with me as they reach out to their clients, some interesting things, making phone calls and just checking in. How are you doing? And they're learning how, some of their past clients and friends, how their families have grown. They remember when they first sold them a home. They, are a young couple just starting out, and now you pick up the phone a couple of years later, and they remember checking in, and they had 1 kid, now they have 2 kids, 3 kids. So it's interesting to see how families have grown out there. A funny story one of my agents had shared with me is as he was reaching out to one of his past clients, the client didn't answer the phone, but then sent my agent back a video text message and said, thank you so much for reaching out to me and thinking of me during these times. It really meant a lot. And actually showed him a pen that my agent had sent to him 10 years ago. And that client had kept that pen with the agent's picture on it. You can imagine those little promotional items out there, kept the pen from 10 years. And it really touched my agent that that person remembered them and kept that little piece of nostalgia for so long. As we reach out, people are reaching out to us. I had an interesting occurrence where one of my past high school girlfriends, which is a different story in of itself, had reached out to me from, if I date myself, 30 years ago. And when I say high school girlfriends, let's clarify this. It was 6th grade science class. I remember asking her out to go study with me. She said, I need a moment. She went home, came back the next day, and she had a note from her grandmother that said, my granddaughter is too young to date now, but now 30 years later, she's coming after me. So it's interesting to see these connections, from years past, and I welcomed it because, as she was reaching out to me, she just said, I'm just reaching out to a friend from the past. You don't owe me anything, I just wanted to say hi and check in with you. So I thought that was kind of funny, but we're just learning how, valuable relationships are, how valuable pets are, how valuable pens are, and how valuable, just those relationships and home. And it's so, touching to me to hear the generosity that's going on out there. We're really, as we think about the idea of home, seeing what my agents are doing and lots of people out there are doing with taking care of each other, checking in with each other, whether or not someone decides they realize their neighbor can't make it necessarily out to the store to get groceries. And I'm hearing of my agents going out there and getting groceries and putting together packages for people. But one of the most touching stories was like one of my newer agents had shared. She's like, and we share collectively with each other. And one agent said, well, you know what? I don't know necessarily everybody in the office as well because I'm newer, but I just wanted to share this little story out there because everyone's sharing what they're doing in their private lives. And she shared that she has a neighbor, some elderly neighbors who live down the street, and every Sunday she makes a meal for them. And she delivers it and puts it on their doorstep just because she wanted them to have a nice Sunday dinner in these times. And I think, in our whole world of real estate and bringing people home and guiding them home, as Coldwell Banker, again, has done for so many years, it's just bringing the world smaller, and it's nice that we are all disconnected sometimes because we're so overloaded with so much news that sometimes you just disconnect and you go back to the roots and the basics of connecting with people on a human nature. And I think that's, if there's any silver lining in all of this, it's really, leaning on your friends and getting through with this because of your friends and because of your neighbors and because of your neighborhood. And I think that, I hope we continue this. And because it's really taught us all so much. It's just such a, in this crazy world, it's just such a touching moment to be able to really disconnect, but connect in a different way. And that's my story.
Roderick, that was beautifully said. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can't say enough what a pillar of positivity you are here, and thinking about what home means now and how community feels so different in individual neighborhoods and streets. Even you just sort of feel differently about the people that surround you because we've had to reconsider what that feels like. All right, next up we have Kristine-Ellis Petrik, and she owns Java Love Coffee Roasting Company. Welcome, Kristine.
Thanks for the introduction, and I am the co-owner, and I am the head roaster of Java Love Coffee Roasting Company here in Montclair. I realized when I was thinking about telling the story, the first word I came up with was "so," and then I realized that most misdirected stories, or stories that just take a really bad turn, everybody starts by saying so here we go. So Jody, the other owner of Java Love, and I are, as we call ourselves, accidental entrepreneurs. We decided we had an opportunity to buy this existing coffee roasting company, and she's a child psychologist. I'm a journalist, so why wouldn't we open a coffee roasting company? Makes perfect sense. And so we did it. And it was just this romantic notion, and it's up in the Catskills. And our first shop was literally 400 square feet. I think we were paying for 600 square feet. Nowhere close. It was definitely 400. We had the roaster in the shop, we had a production area, and we had this little tiny like front counter area. And I didn't even know how to brew coffee, God forbid, like roast coffee. And people kept, like, they were so generous, and they came to us, and we had this little, you had to pour the water in the top of the coffee brewing machine, and we started getting okay at that, and I think we made it through the first summer okay, and then the second summer this couple came in, and the gentleman, he buys a coffee, and the wife says, "Well, do you have any hot tea?" We're like, no, because we can't make hot tea. We brew coffee. And she was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't ask a question, just okay, and leaves. And it kind of kept happening. And so Jody and I were like, well, we better find a way to brew coffee. I mean, brew tea. And, because we don't want to off-put these people. And so without being able to have hot water for tea, we went and we bought one of those little teapots that you plug in, and you hit the little button. So anytime somebody, by the third summer, they're coming in, they're like, "Do you have hot tea?" And we're like, "We got it. We got this little pot back here," and we'd run back and hit the button and wait 10 minutes for the water to boil, and we pour the little water in. And, all the time, brewing hot coffee. And I don't even remember what happened, but somehow at a moment, I'm pouring this cold water into our coffee brewer that's brewing hot coffee. But cold water is going in, but hot water is coming out. For 3 years, we told people we couldn't make hot tea because we couldn't get hot water. And no one questioned it. No one said, "Aren't you making hot coffee?" And we didn't say. So it's that as a small business, we had the stupidest blind spot ever. hot coffee, no hot tea. Well, we could, but we'd have to run back and hit the little button and brew, you know, get the hot water and pour the, and to this day, whenever we say, oh, we can't do that, you know, oh, that's not possible, or we can't do that, I at least go back to the moment of realizing I had hot water the whole time, but I just didn't, the form of it wasn't what I knew. And honestly, when I did that and I realized I was on the floor laughing so hard, I couldn't explain to Jody what I was laughing so hard about. I just kept pointing at the water. And when she figured it out, it was like, we really shouldn't be business owners because we don't know we can make hot water. So for me, that is my so. We knew we could make hot coffee, but we didn't know we could make hot tea for a very long time. So that's my small business. Dang, what a blind spot. And that's all I got.
So that was a great story. Thank you so much, Kristine. That was hilarious. And I love that nobody questioned you. You know, you try to think the customer's always right. We'll go out of our way to make it happen, but not at your initial location. Listen, let's not out there. That is so fun. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we love Java Love. Thank you so much for being here. What a wonderful night of storytelling this has been from our local partners. We really appreciate you taking the time to tell us your tales and bring us along on all of your journeys. Hang in there. Before long, we're going to all be together and doing business with each other even more together again. To see more about each one of the businesses you heard from tonight and other establishments that help Montclair Film be what it is, please go to our website at montclairfilm.org. Thanks again to everyone, and have a wonderful night. Stay safe.